Okay, so next up, let's actually add to this component a little bit. And by the way, whenever you return JSX, I almost always surround them in parentheses. If you return them on the same line, you don't have to, but I almost always do. Another thing to note here is that when we insert JavaScript into our JSX, you always have to surround it in squiggly brackets. So if you looked at this and said, why is he doing that? There's a reason. You have to surround your JavaScript, just like we did here, in squiggly brackets. Otherwise, it'll actually just display that exact thing like it's HTML, and you'll just see something like props.playlist.name instead of the actual JavaScript itself. And then it'll evaluate that JavaScript and put the evaluated value there. And so now let's go ahead and fill out this track a little bit. Let's add some stuff to it. So, well, we're rendering a UL here. Let's change this to an LI, a list item. So it'll be a list of items. And then let's go ahead and add some stuff to it. Let's give it a span with a class name equals title. And then let's put the props.song name there. Let's make a, well, you know what? Let's put another span inside there. And let's put both the song name and the movie name on top of each other. So let's give these a class name then. Let's call this one class name equals movie. And this one we'll just leave that. And so instead of song name, we'll say movie title, or I think that's what we called it. And then down here, we'll make another span, and we'll give this a class name equals duration, and we'll say song.duration, or props.song.duration. There we go. And yeah, that looks good. So we're going to want to style this a little bit, but now we have all of the data being displayed, and we can see it here. It's all on top of each other. A whole new world, Aladdin, 240, and those dots. Let's make that look a lot nicer. So I'm going to head into the app.css, and well, what do we call this list here? We call it tracks. Cool. Let's go in here and say dot tracks, the class name of tracks. Let's make them display flex direction column. Remember, this is just an unordered list with the class name of tracks. So if you want to be explicit, you could say the UL with the class name of tracks. Let's make sure they don't have those dots. List style type is none. And make sure they have no padding. Padding is 0, because they come with some default padding. Let's style our song. Let's give it a width of 100%. Let's make it also display flex. And let's give it some padding of 15 pixels and 20 pixels. And let's make sure that when you scroll over it, you have a little cursor, like a little pointer. And when you hover over it, let's add like a slight dark background. So I'm going to say RGBA, which means red, green, blue, and then the alpha, which is how see-through it is. And we're going to go 0, 0, 0 for all black, and then 0.1, so it's almost entirely see-through. And let's do the same thing here as we did with the buttons, which is song active, transform, translate, I can't spell, I cannot spell at all, translate Y, 1 pixel, so it moves down a tiny bit when you click on it. Let's also style the title. Let's say font size is 20 pixels. Let's make it display flex, and flex direction of column, and margin of 0. Okay, let's see how that looks so far. Okay, a little bit better. Oh, cool. We have that nice little background, but this still doesn't look great, I'll be honest. We need to fix this duration. We should probably make this a little smaller. Let's go ahead and do that too. And we should probably know what position in the list they are. So let's actually go back into the playlist, and let's take this IDX, and let's say position equals IDX plus 1. So we're now passing a new prop to the track component called position. So here, let's create another span with a class name equals position, and let's say props.position. Okay, that seem right? Let's see. Yeah, okay. Let's put a dot after it. Props.position dot. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't look great. Let's fix that really quickly. So let's style the position maybe. Song.position, font size 20 pixels, and then margin right 15 pixels. So it spaces itself out a little bit. Let's make that movie song.title.movie. Let's give it a font size of 14 pixels and a color of, let's make it like a light gray, like D-E-D-E-D-E. Very almost white, but not quite. And then let's say song.duration, margin left auto, so it moves as far away from the other stuff as possible. There we go. Okay, that looks a lot nicer. So now we have our list of tracks. We have our title of our playlist. We have buttons here, and each of these looks like a button we can click on. This is looking so much better. We're now ready, probably ready, at least. Maybe I might add like a few more styles to this, but we're probably ready to start moving on to the next part, which is dealing with data that does change in our application. Because we've passed all of the data that doesn't change, the props. So then what happens when we have data that does change? Like right now it's always paused. Or if we want to play it? What if we want to change the song? Add a new song, all kinds of stuff here. And that's going to move on to the next big concept in React, which is state.